Good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Pascal.
What I get so far is listening and receiving.
Mhm. With that, I get to open up.
Take it in.
Take it in and let it land it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love the word land. It's like landing. For me, it shows landing in my heart.
Allow it to occupy some space.
Give attention to it fully. From all angles, there's I listen to what you say, and I look at it from all different angles.
I have two words for today. One is surrender, and then the next one that came was friendship.
Mm.
Receive and listen for the wobble. Examine it. Let it land. And release it. Building friendship together. Friendship is together, a bond of listening and receiving. Touching the heart. stable. Foundational state.
It's interesting with surrendering in friendship. What I get is I can only, it's allowing to be myself, not trying to be someone else, to be more friendly.
Mm.
To try to fit in.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, Pascal, what comes to me also is in friendship internally.
Mm.
You know, that we make friends with ourselves. Sounds a bit weird.
No, it doesn't.
But you surrender to those different parts of yourself. And some of them, well, I would say your higher self is your best friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that your true nature is friendly.
But my initial meaning of the word was definitely the exchange that happens between friends and all that that brings.
Funny when you say your best friend is your higher self, but we keep looking outside of ourselves for friends.
Mm.
And we were craving to have more friends. It's like we're trying to feel feel a spot or feel a hole.
Yeah, I guess it's also that sense of belonging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to fit in. And then you can have lots of wobbles in friendships.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like when you recognize that your best friend is your higher self, like, I don't know, it's the most joyous thing ever. when you're happy with yourself.
Mm.
And what I see in the world is like, we keep distracting ourselves because we don't want to look at ourselves. We're not happy with ourselves.
Mm.
You know, being in silence with yourself is one of the hardest things to do. There's no bullshit. Everything come online. You know, I heard something really revealing about kidneys. So kidney disease, if you call it a disease, is the restriction of energy, constricted energy. And that runs in my family. And seems like when I was young, I was like the person with the most energy. And I got told so many times to, you know, to be on drugs, right? Ritalin. I never been on, but they always tell me like, calm down, calm down. You know?
Mhm.
It's like they were fear of my energy.
Mm.
Because you know, when you have someone that is extremely success, like you have a group of people, and then like we're all average, you know, we all get by in life, and then one of them is like to the top, right? Like he just gets it, right? Like he have a very successful life or something, and it's uncomfortable, right? So that's how I see it.
Mm.
I feel I got dumbed down a bit, so I fit in more with the family. But now I don't have to fit in. I know I don't have to.
Now you can sculpture your own space.
Mm-hmm. And also I have a different definition about family now.
Mm.
I didn't think like a family could expand. You know, thought you had a mom and dad and your sibling, and that was it. It's way more than that.
Releasing the generational family entanglements,
Mm.
the restrictions that have been put upon us. Uniquely special for each of us. Fundamentally limiting our higher self, our friendship with our higher self. Stopping it, putting on pause, listening for it. Releasing that pattern. Stepping through it for all the space that's on the other side. And it's better with friends. Space is bigger. Yours shed mine. Mine shed yours. Wobble. See it. See the edges. See the ends. See the reaction. Feel the reaction. The tendency to avoid, to push away, to stuff down. The wobble can be many things.
Wobble reveals many things too.
Mhm. It can show up as a worry, a stress. I'm worried about some situation.
Mm-hmm. If you allow it to do its job, it does a lot of shedding for you too.
Mhm. Its job is to bring attention on it,
Mm-hmm.
to listen to it, to bring it in. The tendency is to avoid it,
Or to fight it, right?
to
Yes.
fight it. Yeah. And we remember we're making it up.
Or deny it.
Yeah, we deny it. Yes. And then all of those just fester it. And more negative attached to it. So it gets heavier. The wobble gets bigger. And funny as it sounds, we can get comfortable in that pattern of denying it, resisting it, avoiding it, distracting it. There's temporary relief in that. And it'll come back stronger.
Yeah, good words. Temporary relief. Well done, Jesse.
Well, we're all creating it. Thank you, Craig.
for me, the big one is recognizing these patterns for what they are, but knowing that they don't belong to me. That when I go to the core of it, I pick them up.
Yes.
They're not mine.
Yes.
So for me, like to say like, oh, I have this, and then like I'm doing this, and no, it's not me. Just to let them go. Say thank you and say, I'm already past that.
Mhm.
You're very polite, Pascal.
I'm good at saying it. You know,
Yeah, but saying
practicing
it's not
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
pattern and it's not my problem.
No,
Neither one. Yeah. Yeah, it's just something I picked up. Anything you pick up can be let go of, right?
that's why like therapists of some kind that like you keep like telling them your issue, to me it feels like it reinforce it. Like I have this,
Yes.
and then fix me.
Mm.
And the more I repeat it, the more it grows, because whatever you put your attention on, it grows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Took me a while to understand that one, but so I'm careful of spending my energy.
Where you put your heartbeats.
Yeah.
Mm.
And when it's repeated, it's reinforced. Or even when it's remembered, it's reinforced.
Yeah, it's like mowing your lawn at the same spot over and over and over, and then like, oh, let's drop the blade a bit, and eventually like you're just hitting the dirt, and it becomes like a root, right? Like a rot.
That's a really good analogy, Pascal.
So it's just, yeah, it's just like, I picked that up. It's not mine. Or is it? I don't know.
That's why choice is so important to be made aware of.
So it could be yours until you are aware of it. Aware there's another way, another choice, more space.
Mhm.
to pick up another one, a new one, and a better, in a different direction, a different space, a different opportunity, a different. But that continues, like then it's the attention in that new direction. But I do get that when it's like we learned it, that's all. We were children learning from a very limited point of view of how to make sense, how to belong, how to fit in. I don't think we can stress that enough. We made the best choice in the situations we were in, and they just kept happening over and over. So we made our best moment until it became so automatic. It was that temporary relief, but we didn't really understand how to change it, to move it, to be in powerful patterns. Because those around us were stuck in theirs. And then it's just like our clothes, right? We call them, they're my clothes. Well, are they really?
Well, we say my body. I don't know. I feel I'm just renting it.
Maybe you're just building it.
Both of those.
Yeah. Do we ever really own anything?
Yeah.
Including the life we live?
Exactly. There's a difference between owning and having stewardship of it, though. You go back to that. For me, I go back to that notion of don't grasp and don't let go. Dance between those. You with it?
Yeah. What a difference in concepts between stewardship and ownership.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that one.
One is a death grip, and one is a very loose grip.
So
Pascal, it's like stewardship is like being a parent. You don't own your child, but you're there to mold an environment that is conducive to that child developing
Oh, okay. Thank you.
There's that one poet, Khalil Gibran, reminds parents and says, children come through you, but they do not belong to you.
Yeah, when we begin to own things, that's just distorted.
It gives it a certain flavor depending on what the individual's experience, meaning, definition of owning is.
Mm.
And in that is the space that's what's possible. It can be limiting, and then it can be a restriction, and there's a degree that could be worse than owning, hoarding, or like there's other words that would go negatively more beyond owning, and then there's expansive words, definitions, meanings. And then I think like owning, there's culturally, our society has that owning as the gripping, the grasping for, as you spoke. And then it creates the separation of, oh, that's mine, not yours. So it amplifies a division. Because we remember that there is no wrong, there is no right. There's just better and worse. Limited, expanded, destruction, construction. All are creations.
Mm-hmm.
But even saying like it's better or worse, to me it's false. Like constructing or deconstructing, because like, to see your true self, you have to deconstruct your false self. And to me, that's a good thing. Right? So it's like there's no duality at all. Maybe expanding and contracting, maybe, but one thing can be expanding for someone, for another will be contracting. It's a fine edge,
It is.
And like, I got to remind myself that my perspective is only one perspective out of 8 billion people, or maybe more even.
Mm.
And just for me to say, I don't need to be right, then that's a huge step forward in the right direction.
Mm.
Fascinating how it all comes down to what we believe.
Yeah, revealing ourselves.
I don't know. I mean, because what we believe also reveals what we don't believe. Beliefs are just learned as well.
Yeah. You know what came to me like, I think 2-3 days ago, and I'm just looking at like my friends around and stuff. And then like, I've got a friend that, you know, she gives so much, right? Like she gives so much, but she's like saying like words like, oh, I love you, and like she loves everyone. But what my perspective on that is like, she want to be loved. And if I look at like how she grew up, that's exactly what it is. Like she never got the love from her parents like a lot of us got. And now she's giving what she wants. And I think we do that a lot too.
Yeah, it's a very common pattern. Hey? You
Yeah.
see it often. People can give it outward, but they can't receive it, or they can't.
They don't allow to receive
They don't
it.
allow it to land when they receive it because there's a block, right?
Yeah.
That self-sabotaging belief.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that could be due to the desire to get it, to see it from out there. Like that is what we like, see it out there rather than knowing we can give it. We need to love ourselves first.
Mm. It needs to be a flow, right? In the giving and the receiving.
Mhm. It goes, I think that's one of our biggest hurdles.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, for me, I think a lot of that has also got to do with where we're placing our identity.
Mhm.
if we can befriend our fallible human selves from the higher self, then there's a lot more openness.
Mhm.
There's a lot more room to play. More space for love to dance.
It was, I don't like how it's phrased, but it's like, we are the matter the gods are playing through. You know, it doesn't capture the essence of like the true nature. It's like our true nature is the spirit, the version of God, right? Our God, like not as a supreme being, but it's like as that higher world is, the other side is bridging through. It's like through us, through our experience in this reality that so many of us have created as a polarity. I mean, I can only think of it in English because that's the only way English has done it. And I think it's so much of the language that has created it. But universally, the feelings, you know, those are what's truly speak. I mean, and the example, you take two families, one family's a family of thieves, right? And the other family's a church Christian, what you call it, holy family. Both families think they're right. Both families do things to belong. Neither one of them can see the other side, each other's. But fundamentally, it's all that belonging at the end. People are just doing what they know how to do to belong. It's like finding the common ground in the polarity. That requires looking below the surface. That look beyond, that goes points to like we are not our patterns. We are not of these things. It's like they're not ours. They've been our choice. Yes, we wear them as our choices. But it doesn't have to be who we are. It has been the past, so it's been who we've been. That doesn't mean it has to continue into the future. into the next moment. No, isn't it amazing? Life is forgiving that way. I mean, you think about it, everybody on earth is just trying not to die.
It's funny that
That's like
you're
this.
saying that because I watch a it's just like a little TikTok. I don't know. And this guy says like, I died 4 times and I'm back. They say you don't die. You don't die. You never die. He keeps saying that. So yeah, it really stick with me. I was like, okay. Yeah. Hey, I always like every 3 Saturday there's a place that's called Nevermind, and there's always on the board a word. Guess what word it is today? Or it's like something, so like most of the time is a phrase. Well, this time is listen.
Oh, wow. How wonderful.
Uh,
It's getting out, yeah.
is anything in line? I don't know. Yes.
It must be a sign, huh, Pascal?
Oh, it is for sure. For sure. Yeah. Next time I'll see like ears somewhere. And I'll follow that.
What's wonderful is like sitting with it is like, oh, so now that we're aware of it, right? It's like there's these things, the synchronicities, right? The awareness.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah. What I just noticed my automatic was, I wonder what like in timing was like, oh, I wonder what it is for what lesson or what there is for me around listening. Like there has to be something, right? It's like, oh, just the expectation. Maybe it's the anticipation, maybe, but maybe just the attention.
Mm.
But the desire, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, listening is just not with the ears, right?
No. And it's just not listening to someone else.
Yeah.
I think the biggest gift we can do is begin to listen to ourselves, because when we do that, we find out that we're really not even listening to anyone else. We're only listening to ourselves.
Yeah, it's like in a conversation when you're only thinking of what you're going to say.
Yep. Great. I was addicted to that for a long time.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I would say that didn't serve me.
Oh, I could. There was many times I'd get angry that people weren't hearing what I had to say.
Yeah. Yeah, because you put so much emphasis on it, right? Like you're just like, okay, yeah, that's gonna be great. And then like the reaction is gonna be amazing. And then you say it, and then like, oh, okay, let's talk about something else now. And you're like, what? What? I formulate these phrases like in my head, like for so long, and you're not
Yeah.
paying attention.
Yeah, they're brilliant, right? And it's like, oh, let me lay it like here it is, and then it's like crickets, and you're like, huh, okay. You know what like the funny lesson is you bring that up that I learned with it is like, oh, that's funny. I had to say it 3 or 4 or 5 times for them to finally like, oh, I see what you're saying now. Ah, imagine that, huh? It's like, oh, the way we work, right? Yeah, that makes more sense than me thinking I'm brilliant.
Yeah.
Mm.
I just had to tell them 4 or 5 times, and then they saw my brilliance.
Yeah.
And then how I knew that it landed was when they started using it. It's like, yes.
Right. Yeah, and the other, yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say that validated my genius. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the other pattern is like that I used to have is like, you're trying to pick up the best clothes and everything, and then you think like at a party like everybody's gonna notice what you're wearing, and then like nobody pays attention. You're like, what? Another time like you just don't give a shit, like you just put like a shirt, and then like oh my god, you must be like in your 80s, right? Because like I had a shirt and it was like a cassette, and then like people that they're born in the 2000 or like they don't understand, like they've never seen it, right? But like people of my generation, they're like, oh wow, this is an amazing shirt, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah. So yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting when it's the expectation, eh?
Mm.
When you have the
Mm.
expectation, you don't get noticed. You don't. But when whatever comes present to you, that means you're present with them, and then like, oh my god, like where did you get that? That's amazing. You know?
Thank you again for this morning so much, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too,
Allison,
Allison.
thank you. I was just thinking about the other patterns, right? The other things that kept playing and around.
That's why I think like my 14 days challenge would be really revealing.
Yeah, I can think of, where a lot of things would stress me out or frustrate me or make me angry, right? I can think of a lot of that and just unaware of how I was orienting to it, unaware that there was even another possibility that it could be something different. Like I thought as if the more frustrated or the angrier I got with it, right, would fix it, would resolve it, would change it. And all it did was grow it.
It's funny that you're saying like anger, because I picked that up like the first time I met you.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you too. And like in my head, I was just like, what a brilliant man, but like he's got some anger issue,
Mm-hmm.
But like to see the change in you is, yeah, it's been great. It's been great to see that.
Thank you, Pascal. Thanks for observing.
Yeah. And you must know too. And like I'm sure like your wife, your kids, like they probably notice that you change.
I notice it when I feel it coming on. Right. So I can feel it coming on, and then I slow it. I can slow it down enough that I can catch it early, so it doesn't go there anymore.
Right.
Like I don't see like anymore. I don't mean it like that, because there are times where it'll reveal its head again, right? It'll show up again, but it's not very much. And no one is it. No, and no, my family still tells me I do it. Yeah. They better yet, they never said that it's any different.
Oh, really? Oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they might not say it.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't need them to.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
but they
sometimes
probably
it sure would be nice to know that
yeah
the
yeah
work
for sure.
that's gone into it, right? Because it's so easy to just be like them.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah,
so so
yeah,
easy to be perfect like them.
yeah, you think so.
Mhm.
Yeah. From your point of view, they're perfect, right?
Their point of view, they're perfect.
Or yeah. Well, I don't know, right? Like when they really
Mhm.
look inside, like I don't think they think like they're perfect.
Well, they do, that's the point, right? It's like they know what's perfect, right? And that's the pattern, right? That's what other people are in it. They think they know that everyone needs to play like them, which
Right.
means there's
Yeah.
no room for someone else to be their uniqueness.
Mm. That's why we have a lot of fake people in the
Mhm.
world,
That's right.
right? And like there's this big saying that is really popular: "Fake it until you make it."
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. What the hell is that?
Ugh. It doesn't work.
No.
And even if you looked at it for a moment, like really studied it, you understood the mechanics behind it, you're just creating more fake. And
Yeah.
if you create more fake, how would you ever make it like in a in what would satisfy, please, make you happy?
Well, when you're gonna become real?
You're right. And when you have all that shit,
Yeah. That you can't bring?
right? You know, it's like the quote we used yesterday, right? Jim Carrey. I haven't heard it, but I hear it secondhand, and so I'll do my best to repeat it. Was Jim Carrey says, "I wish everyone would become rich and famous so they can see that they don't need that."
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's huge.
Right? That's
That's
really
huge.
easy for someone that's done it to say it.
Well, it was the same thing with the video I post, right? About the football player that like he had a call of like, yeah, just like stop being like a football player and just buy a farm, buy land, and just give to people.
Mhm.
That's remarkable. I mean, like, if it's really his passion of like football, I don't completely agree. He could do both, right? But like, he went all in.
Mhm.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You know, when 1 year like you made like 39 million,
Yep.
like if he's not an example, I don't know what it is.
And all the stories he was told along the way, right?
Yeah, you are crazy.
And even before that, it's like, I
Mhm.
don't know what the stories were, but more than likely it was like a story for himself too. It was like he had a story of getting to that point,
Yeah,
you know, and then it was like we get there and then it's like, huh. Or we don't get there and it's like, huh. It's not like how I
right.
thought it
I
would
just
be.
wonder what any of that proves.
It's all right. It
I
proves
just
that it
wonder
wasn't
what
like
any
I
of that
thought.
proves.
It proves that it's like it's not going to be how I think it is.
Yeah, it shows that it's not the destination, that it's the process.
The journey. The journey of getting there, right? And then so when we
Yeah.
think of it rather than the destination, it's the journey. Wow, that
Mhm.
lets us be present in the moment It removes that stress, that anger, that frustration that I was creating around it because everything was keeping me from that destination. And I think way down deep, there's still a version of our genius that plays a version of it, but the world has attached so much baggage to that true nature, that true purpose, that we confuse them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
Yeah, we can blame the world, but really it's us. You know?
It's all there is. It's all there is. There's just 8 billion of us.
Yeah, that's it. And more to come.
Yeah. It's like there's always been a leadership aspect for me, right? That's always been there. And it's like even every time I think about it, I think of this guy at the front of the podium, right? Rah, rah, rah. And it's like you can just see all of the culture that has gone into that for me that shaped it. Which means it's like I think there's something still like there's a true nature around leadership for something of mine, right? I've let it go rather than chasing it like I was. Because I was chasing it and I was chasing it the wrong way. I was chasing it the world way.
Yeah, what you chase runs away.
And there's that chase, then it's like all those old patterns that were built around that chase have to come, like they have to resettle. They have to come down so that there's space. And we don't know what that come down is. We don't know what new structures will come out of that. We don't know how it's going to go. It's like that expectation, that timing. And I may be just full of shit too. But there's still something that just says, hang in the tension. Hang in the tension. Ugh.
Yeah. It's like we can't wait to release the tension, but after we release the tension, we're like, that's it, right? I gotta put more tension again.
Well, there's going to be another one. I mean, there always is, right? It's not like you ever get to a point that there's no more tension.
No. No.
That's why I think like it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? Because that journey is made up of all those tensions. The opportunities come as a result of hanging in that tension. Taking the action, the obvious actions in that tension. Not knowing which wobble will be the last breakthrough.
Yeah.
Not sure what action, right, will be the one that releases it.
Yeah. You just got to do it one more time.
That's one more. Show up one more time, huh, Pascal?
One more.
One more. I promise. I promise.
Just one more.
I
one
promise.
More.
Allison shared with me I don't remember the podcast, but it's a really good one. It's like the Diary of a CEO or something like that. I don't know his name. I've only seen a couple of them, but he was interviewing Brian Johnson, I believe. He's some billionaire guy. I didn't know this about him, but here's the point of it is that the interview, 2-hour interview, it speaks about what he's doing is using AI and using that to have his body tell him what to do rather than his mind telling him what to do. He's having his body tell him what to do. Now, so
Yeah, isn't that a novel concept, eh?
oh my God. So
Yeah,
he goes to
yeah.
bed at 8. He goes to bed at 8:30 every night.
Well, that's
I
late.
think his last meal is 11 a.m.
Okay. Wow.
I want to say he spends $2 million a year on. Now I don't know if that's true, but it was like in the highlights, like the highlight reel of it. It was like I think he spends like $2 million a year on eating, on certain pills that he takes. So what he does is that there's certain targets. He's aimed at living till 200. That's kind of like his goal. And what he's doing is measuring his body, and he looks at how everything he does, what makes the best outcome for his body. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And his point, he's like, my purpose is not to die. He says, I'm going to do everything that I know, will try to set myself up not to die.
Maybe I should send him the video of the guy that died 4 times, but he's still here.
Right. It's like, but that's the unique, like, that's what I find the uniqueness. And he's, here, like when you listen to him, you hear his passion, right? You hear his focus. It's like, my focus is not to die. He says, I'm going to do everything that I can not to die. He says, so I know where all the risks are, right? I know. And he's like, I'm learning, I'm conditioning. He's found what's really important and how it works for his body. And it's like, oh man, and he's using AI, right, to help him do that.
Right. But I feel like, in my perspective, he does it wrong.
Hmm.
In terms of like, oh, looking at what he's eating. Like there's, the blueprint is much higher than that. Because like ascendant masters, some ascendant master, like they choose to die. Like Yogananda says, like, at one point, it's like, yeah, like tonight, that's my last night.
Mhm.
They choose to reincarnate, and they choose to leave.
Mhm.
So that's, and like, if you look at Yogananda, like, doesn't look the most healthy person, like, in terms of like, like, body wise, right? You wouldn't think so, right? But that being choose whenever it wants to go. So I think it's one way, right? It's one way, and it's fascinating that like he's showing to do it that way. But in my opinion, like there's a bigger blueprint. It's like fixing disease with the body by taking pills, by taking whatever. I feel like there's something much higher than that.
I don't. Here's what I'll share is fascinating that we haven't explored yet. As a humanity race, that I think he's on the edge of, is he's looking at as much information, data that he can of what triggers his body. And what he's doing, his point is, I want to align every cell in my body to my purpose. Like I want to align every cell in my body to the optimum health that I can today. And he's using data, information to do that. And rather than his mind making the choices, making the decisions, he's listening to what his body's telling him and how his body's responding. And of course, he may be wrong eventually as we move along, is like what ticks, right? What markers he's measuring, right? But from where most people are to where he's at, and
it's
it's
yeah.
like he's 45, and basically he biological age is he's 20.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
Nor do I say
Yeah,
it's,
that's
but
what
I,
that's what I mean when I've been telling you, sharing with you guys that whole thing about my body feeling like it's getting younger. Because I've been practicing that same thing for the last year. I just pay attention to my body, like when it wants to sleep and when it wants to eat and what it wants to eat, all that kind of stuff. It makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like what he says, he in the very early on in the beginning, he gives a very good analogy of like how our thinking mind gets in the way of that, like how our habits, and how all of that's just in it. And there's so much subtlety. Now, I think there's a cross between the two, right, Craig? But man, when you actually have the data of what to look at and how it affects, he used to drink a glass of wine every morning too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because he did, he drank 3 ounces, but then he's like, oh, it took so many calories. So he's really focused on calories, right? Because that's just how his body responds. So what it is that he sees all the consequences, right, of everything that he has. One of the things he says is every calorie fights for its life.
Yeah.
So it's so like it's same concept, Craig, right? But it's just like there's so much that our patterns, our thinking mind, without that data, right? Man, I think the two of them is such a huge benefit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the direction of where we're headed.
Yeah. And get out of those routines that have kind of been forced upon us.
Yes, that's
By
he
society,
makes a great
right?
he makes a great point around it. You know, it's like you tell our children to be healthier, yet there's all this outward pressure on them of all the fast food joints that are right there, the sugary drinks that taste so good. He's like, we tell them that, but then they're in this coffin just being pressed into all the shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So you're wondering, like, do they want our children healthier? Right?
Not at all.
Of course
I
not.
mean, the
The
biggest companies in
business,
the world, you know, they want you to stay sick so they can
of
sell you
course,
the drugs and pills. I mean,
of
so like,
course.
yeah, I mean, come on, they're not there for us. We got to get that through our head.
Yeah, yeah,
As much as their fast food service is tailored to our stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And McDonald's was basically built to support the 9 to 5 nuclear family world, right?
And boy, do I love a good Big Mac.
Well, of course. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I do love a Big Mac.
I do too.
But that's my head telling me I love a Big Mac.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, they're much better when it's a reward about once every 3 months.
Yeah, right. It is.
I enjoy it a
See.
heck of a lot more
That's right.
if there's been some distance between them.
That's so true. So true. If I eat at a fast food restaurant, that is my first choice. No, half of my family enjoys it, the other half does not. So,
mm,
Bet that's fun.
well, especially when you have a world-class athlete, right? That is
Yeah, exactly.
very, very fond to point out when his dad and his sister don't do very healthy. And he just finished a health class. Yeah.
So I'm sure he's rubbing it in, right?
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Troy.
Oh yes. And the daughter, she loves her salt and she loves her chocolate. She loves her sweets.
Well, and both of them keep you paying attention, don't they?
Yeah. Sure do.
yeah, I think, like, the point of this is, like, when you become aware of what goes in fast food and stuff, then you're less inclined to go and buy fast food. Anyway, for my opinion, because I love fast food before. I used to eat it quite often, and then now it's quite rare, I go for the healthy fast food, but still, it's still not optimal, and I feel it. I feel it when it's not, like,
The
that
things
it's
is
tailored
that's
to my body, I guess. But
the
yeah.
real killer is not just the food, though. It's the patterns that are around it.
Well, I think it's our thought behind it, because, like, if I
Yeah,
don't
the thing,
know
like, I
that,
have to
like,
have a fix. I have to have a fix of this every day, or look at the coffee places that are prevalent these days, right? I mean, there's people that are so into that, like, it's such a daily routine at a certain time of day that I have to have this coffee fix.
right.
And they don't even blink if they're paying $10 for a cup of coffee.
But I think, like, there's even more than that. Like, once, oh, I lost my train of thought. It's gonna come back to me. I'll pick up this bin and then I'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the patterns.
Yeah.
Coffees, the morning
Right.
coffee, and then come in for the iced coffee in the afternoon, right?
Oh, yeah, I got it. It's beyond that. It's like, if I learn everything about coffee, that the good, the bad, then now I'm like, I might be more skeptical of like drinking coffee, right? And like already, like when I'm drinking the coffee, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's gonna raise this, it's gonna lower this, it's gonna do that, blah blah blah, right? So sometimes more information is not so much a good thing, right? So because like there's some people that eat fast food every day and it doesn't affect them, and I don't think they know how detrimental it is,
Yeah.
nor
Well,
do
they
care.
don't know if it affects them or not, mainly.
Yeah.
So when it goes in, like, the body just got no information. There's no disturbance of like, oh, well, it's going to be hard to digest. It's going to be blah, 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 But when you learn so much about food, then like, you're limited. You're limiting yourself in a sense.
And I think that's like where Brian Johnson where what he's doing is really, you don't need to know about it, right? It's like, just see what it does, how your body responds to it from information that we can't even see or tell or know. But then you have to understand what the information's telling you.
Yeah.
So then it's like the information's from your reaction of your body from what you're doing with it, right? Against some measure. And then it's like, okay, well, I wonder, what would I change? If that happened when I did that, what would I change about it? Because that's the problem today, is that it's not, there's so much information that we can't even decide what is the right or good or appropriate information.
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. And then we always striving for information outside of ourselves and thinking that it is right.
Yeah. Or that the majority believes it, so that must make it so.
And like all our platform are designed that way. Because like if I look at food, for example, and then I watch one video, then the next video, say on YouTube, will be related to that. And then I have like a stronger belief of what I believe is true. But maybe I'm completely wrong. And most likely I'm completely wrong. But because I watch so many videos of the same thing, like now, like it becomes like a behavior, I'm acting like this. I'm like, everything is based on that. But like the information didn't come from me to start with.
Yeah. So how many of us have taken the time to muscle test about whether this is good for me to eat or not?
I do it with pills, like, and I do it like I've done it with choices too. I'm like, is that a good thing for me to buy this course? Is there something valuable for me? And then I go with it.
Yeah.
I use a pendulum and then like I go with it.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm like, yeah, but it's really freaking expensive. Are you sure? And I test it again the next day. Because my mind's like, oh my God, my bank account.
Yeah.
And then like I test it again and it says, and it's a big yes. It's not just like a little circle. It's a big yes. And I'm like, oh my God, You're killing me here. You know? Like, should I follow really this thing? And I'm like, okay, let's go for it. Let's go for it. But yeah, I don't do it with food as much. I've done it a little bit, you know, here and there, but it's not consistent. Like I have a harder time to do it like the way Chris does it, but with the pendulum,
Yep.
I trust
Yep.
it better. I don't know.
Yep.
To me, I see it, right? Like it's not just a feeling. I see it, and then it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
But I got to make sure that like I'm in my heart first. That's the big thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You know, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't care about the result, even though behind
Yep.
my mind is like, oh, I don't think I should buy it, of course, you know. And then it says yes. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and eventually you'll be able to sense that in your body. You won't even need the pendulum anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you'll just know. You'll trust your inner knowing, and you just know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I know when it's a no, because like I'm almost shaking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's that
Yeah.
point. And I remember like it was something really stupid. Like I go to the tilt and then like I buy 2 pair of jogging pants and thinking like you buy one and the next one is 50% off, something like that. And then I get to the tilt and then like they're full price. And then like I start like shaking almost. And then I'm like, I don't know, I'll buy them. And then like I'm still shaking, and then I bought them. And then believe it or not, it's pants that like I never wear.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So are you saying that your inner knowing knew that you would buy them and never wear them?
I guess so. And it's not because of the price, right? It's not, it was just like, yeah, my body knew.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it happens like, you know, like I buy things and then like I'm kind of like shaking, and then like, you know, something goes wrong with, say, when I'm about to pay or something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Even though like my mind really wants it, then if I follow my mind, then like it's a big yeah, it was a mistake, I guess. I don't know if you say mistake, but yeah, it's,
You know, just I want to mention this right now too, because I've used this terminology before in these things, but when I use the term future memory, that's basically what I'm talking about.
future memory.
Future memory. Yeah, future memory is when your inner knowing, when your inner knowing knows well in advance of whether or not you're going to use something, or whether or not something is good for you, or you know, and I like using the term, instead of using good or bad, I like using the term correct.
Yeah.
You know, is this correct? Is this choice in tune with my inner knowing, with my inner being?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's future memory, basically.
Right.
Okay. Because once you start to learn how to do that for yourself internally, then you realize that you can do it for other people. In fact, you can even do it for society as a whole. You know, because it covers everything.
You know, I was watching a
part of the reason you have that gift, and part of the reason that you're exploring it right now.
Yeah. I was watching
it's meant to empower you, but it's meant to empower everybody around you as well.
Right.
You know, and provide guidance, or a lighthouse, or that kind of a thing. for the people around
Yeah,
you.
it's for the good of all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's so important to collaborate and be in partnership with people as much as you can,
Mhm.
because the gifts that you have, they're for you, but they're for everybody else as well, right?
Yeah.
They're meant to be shared.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
For the
yeah,
good of everyone.
one video was saying like, how do you create more abundance? It was exactly like that, right? Like, so if you have a
Exactly
video
it.
that you think like people will benefit from, share it. Don't keep it
Yep.
for yourself. Share it.
Yep.
You know,
So
put
back to
energy.
what we were talking about earlier about ownership versus stewardship.
Yeah.
Okay, that whole thing about sharing your gifts so that other people can benefit from your gifts, that is stewardship.
It's being at service.
It's being of service. Yeah, being of service with what you've been given. Yes, with what you've received. And the interesting thing is, as you receive that, and as you receive what you receive, and as you share it, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, it expands itself. It's self-sustaining. It's self-replicating. You know, it's just like when a cell is created, when a sperm meets an egg, the nucleus of that particular cell keeps dividing and dividing and doubling and doubling and doubling over and over and over again. And eventually it becomes an organism. You know, you've kind of you've set a dynamic in motion.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned.
Creation's a continuum.
Yeah.
It had a starting point, but it has no apparent ending point. And I don't understand that, but I know that it's true.
Right. Yeah, it's an
You know?
inner knowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching a show on Gaia, and this guy, like, he's extremely famous of like reading hands. And one thing he was saying, like, because I always think like, oh, I'm not on my path, you know, like, you know, there's definitely something else I can't do, blah blah blah. And then he was saying like, on your finger, when you see like those lines going up, like a lots of line going up, then that means like you are on your life path. And then if you have some cross, then that means like, you know, there's something that it's not completely aligned. And I was looking at my hand, I'm like, oh, I got that, you know? So I guess I am on my life path, you know? And it kind of makes me feel better in a sense, because I was just like, you know, I know eventually, like, that's not exactly what I'm going to be doing, you know? But yeah, right now it's serving me. It's definitely serving me, like driving, and then, you know, I have this mindless job, right?
Yep.
It's serving me. So
yeah, that mindless job of yours is serving you in many deep ways right now.
yeah, I really think so too. That's why it's hard to give that up for 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, you're getting your paternity leave for 6 months?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I only have 5 days left, including today.
Yeah. You know, I have a niece that works for the city of Calgary. And
Oh yeah?
yeah, that's a pretty good place to work, hey?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's got its politics that I'm not like big fan of, but the work environment is really good. Do your
Yeah.
job and that's it, right? Like do your job
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
they won't bother you, right? Do you think we need a union? No, but you know, because they don't do anything for us. But yeah. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's great that that's working out for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just the fact that you can be on these calls this
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, no,
That's
exactly.
extremely valuable, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny enough, like when I'm driving, there's more things that comes up to me than then when I'm just like resting, and it's like I don't have time to think because
Yeah,
my
you're
thinking
practicing
mind,
a loose concentration, right?
my thinking mind is focused on like driving.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm free with my higher mind to say, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're exercising it at the same time as you're driving and doing the other stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my subconscious drives my truck.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I say that, but I think that's how it works.
Mhm. Yeah, until that late day that lady started chasing you around.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing there?
I know, it's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah. And the funny part is like me not reacting to it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm
Yeah,
like,
you just know
empty your bags, empty your bags. Yeah, okay. Are you done now? Okay. Now you can go back in your vehicle, you know?
Yeah,
You
just
took
know
your
that there's somebody.
picture. You took your picture. You curse at me. Everything is good. Yeah. You get it out. Okay. Good. Perfect. Okay. Now it's time for you to go. I think. Is it, or you have more things to say? Unleash. Let's go. You know. I don't have all day.
Just here to serve, right, Pascal?
Yeah. Exactly.
But it was great having a reminder for you to, you know, to just be reminded that you're developing on some deep spiritual levels, and that experience was very different because of that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm very calm by nature,
Yeah.
except with my wife. It's still,
Yeah.
there's still, yeah, there's still some work to do there.
Different
For
kinds
sure.
of feedback.
Oh yeah, and then she pointed them out really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good, very good.
It's just so much fun seeing things from a different perspective, you know?
Oh, yeah. Just seeing things as a movie perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it's game changer.
Well, that's why you hear me laughing so much.
Mm-hmm.
Is because yeah, because I'm starting to see things like some things that used to rile me up like crazy are so darn ridiculous and out there that I can't help laughing about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's so absolutely absurd.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like the experience are not real, right? Like you definitely experience them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the same time, it's like, okay, it's just an experience.
Well, like we have choices about how things affect us or not, right?
But like, yeah, like people will be like, yeah, but you have no idea what she done to me, you know? You have no idea. Yeah, maybe not.
But did you
Maybe
do
not.
anything to them?
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, that is your perspective. Yeah. You know, I'm sure she has her own perspective, you know? And like the other question be like, wow, would you like to be that with that person? Like forever? Like, oh no. So that was a good thing that you guys left each other. Yeah, I guess so. Right?
Yeah.
So you're ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Right? So I was just seeing it like differently, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it became difficult for me to live with someone who didn't want to embrace my dreams. For some reason, it was really hard to let go.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like, it's hard for me to be with someone that wouldn't be with me for who I am. You know, if I have to fake my identity, then I shouldn't be with that person.
Yeah. I came to realize that I had invested a lot more in relationship than the other person had. But I was always hoping that their investment would at least some kind of sense of matching the investment that I had made. But it didn't happen.
Hopium.
Yeah, so it was hard to let go of that what turned out to be a pipe dream.
Yeah.
You change quite a bit over 30 years. or you can change quite a bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for
And,
sure.
and you can choose not to change very much over the same amount of time. you know.
That's why I love like hanging out with older people.
Yeah.
Just older than me, right? Because like they've been here longer, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have a different
thing.
Sorry? More baggage.
Yeah, funny thing, they have been here longer. Yeah, kind of feels like it too, huh?
Yeah. But I also feel like I'm an old soul.
Oh yeah,
So
totally. Yeah, I'll affirm that for you too. You're definitely an old soul, brother.
right. You know, it's not everyone that are interested in what I'm doing or watching or
Yeah, just be really grateful that you discovered the truth of that at a young age. It'll make
well,
a
I did
huge
a lot of
difference
work. I
in the rest
definitely
of your
did a
life.
lot of
Yeah.
work.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. You know, it's my passion for health that really grew and got bigger, and but I keep changing.
Yeah, how about that?
I keep changing.
Well, you know, and you can either fight it or resist it or go with it, you know.
Yeah. Resistance to change, eh?
Yep. Yep. And there's, you know, I'm sure I've experienced all the phases of that, all three phases of it.
Yeah, and I was watching another video, and then I was like, yeah, I think resistance to change might be the third step or something. And then once you change is action, the fourth step. And then that's where we're at right now. So she was like, you want to be very, like, pretty sure of what you're here to accomplish by the end of this year. Otherwise, you'll be a little bit behind. Not that you're just gonna have a little bit of catch up to do. And it's no surprise that I'm gonna be doing like, well, it's a 21-day challenge. Like the first 14 days is like really writing in a journal, like of every action and behavior, and then really go to the core of it. And then the last 7 is like really evaluating like where my energy goes and like what's good for me, what's not good for me, you know. Be very like mindful of like where I'm spending my energy. So an energy diagnostic. So
Yeah, that's why I've put a lot of time and study into astrology and human design and the gene keys.
yeah.
Because
Oh, you got something else from me?
human design especially though is all about finding your inner authority. And actually, when you run your human design chart, one of the things that lets you know is what your authority is, what your inner authority is, what it's based on, where you feel it in your body, that kind of stuff. So mine I feel in my spleen, which is actually centered in the solar plexus. So it's a gut thing, and it feels like an impulse, like kind of a one-time jolt.
Okay.
That I get. And so
once you you align your desired or like that? Is that what you mean?
Well, it's kind of like what you were saying about using your pendulum.
Okay.
So this is like using your body as your pendulum.
Ah.
So
yeah.
And so that's the coolest thing for me about finding out your human design chart, because it tells you what your inner authority is, and then it also tells you what energy type you are. So when you come to understand both of those things and how your body processes energy, by design, not by the default that you learned, it changes everything. Because most of our conditioning is about doing what we were told.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Believing what we were told, you know what I mean? So
right.
all of that kind of stuff. I mean, everything from school to work to home to family, all that kind of stuff is about being taught to follow authorities outside of yourself.
Yeah.
So there's nothing we have in society that teaches us how to tap into our own inner authority.
Yeah.
So when you start realizing that you actually have an inner authority, and that it's really, really accurate, and that it's accurate and valuable and trustworthy, and that, it's like I was telling you about Kai, right? To pay attention to his rhythms and all that kind of stuff, and try not to force what you want into his world, because that's his inner authority. You know what I mean?
What I heard, like,
you don't want to mess up his inner authority, because
No.
he might have to wait decades before he learns how to do that for himself. And he won't have to do that if he starts doing it now. He can learn it right now, because he's right there. He's living there right now.
And what I heard is, like, if I do that, we think like it's gonna work for me, right? Like it's gonna be like, oh yeah, like he can sleep at this, and like I'm gonna make him as a doctor, blah 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 blah. But eventually, like, he's gonna find his own path. It's like almost like thinking I can diverge this river the way I want, but eventually it'll come back to his own path. And then, like, what I heard is like, if I'm trying to put boundary on him, like eventually, like, he's gonna push me away.
Yeah, that would happen too. Yeah, because his inner authority knows better. His inner authority knows what's best for him already.
Yeah,
and he's in that space right now. But there's going to be pressures all over the place that are probably going to take him out of that space. But hopefully, he won't get too far out of that space.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So that he can live his life in harmony with the whole universe. Right? Because our conditioning basically takes us out of harmony with the universe. Is really what it does. And then we have to recapture and kind of relearn what our body, what our inner authority has been telling us all along, because we've learned to disregard it and deny it.
Yeah.
We've learned that what's outside of us is more important than what's in our hearts, right? And it's not true.
No.
As we're finding out now, right? So eventually there's going to be human beings that will not have to live through that conditioning and then deconditioning process anymore.
Yeah. Well, like, what surprised me, like, I learned about like homeschooling for a while now, right?
Yep.
And it's a desire of mine that, like, I'd like Kai to be on a homeschool, right? Learning what he wants, like not be on the curriculum per se.
Yep.
And my wife, it was a couple of days ago, like, she brought this up, and she's like, oh yeah, like, I'd like to put like Kai in a homeschool. Like one of my clients, like she's a teacher, and then like she's taking like, I don't know, like 5 or 10 kids, you know, through homeschooling at her house and stuff.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell you about it. And then like
Yeah,
now you bring
exactly.
this up, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's amazing when you kind of like put your desire in the universe, and it just like, and I have no expectation, right?
Yeah.
And it comes back and like, wow, how did
Yeah.
she know that, right?
Well, you know how she knew it.
Oh yeah,
You projected it to her energetically and she picked it up.
yeah.
Does that surprise you?
Nope.
Well, yeah, it
It
surprises us
used to
less and less
surprise
because it
me.
keeps
It
happening.
used
Yeah,
to surprise me, but now I kind of
it used to.
starting to know how it works, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So yeah, it's really fascinating when
Yeah.
you're starting to find the truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you
And when-
realize like everything we know is wrong, you know?
well, or at very least incomplete.
Yeah. Yeah. It's missing parts for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you and I and doing this thing, and all of us every day, we're swimming in the parts that very few people are actually aware of.
Right.
Okay, they've always been there. They just haven't been in our awareness. So it's like a lot of the beliefs are incomplete. A lot of the, are coming from a place of incompleteness. That if you only knew that you were capable of melding genius with a bunch of other people and creating some real kick-ass stuff, if you weren't aware of that, then you wouldn't practice it, would you?
No. Yeah.
Okay. So instead, we realize that this is true. So we come back every day and we practice it with each other, because it's every day it blows us away. It's like, okay, I want to live like this. More, please.
Yeah. And then the fascinating thing is like, it's not we have like a structure that, oh, we're going to be talking about this. And everybody comes prepared, and then like, oh, I've got a question about this or that or blah, blah, blah. Like there's no, right now, like the structure is like the 15 minutes meditation, but that's it, right? And that's free flow. And it's free flow every day.
Yeah. Finding the place where there's no agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not about
hearing it. Hearing the music.
Yeah, it's not about thinking outside the box. It's
it's not about that either. That's right.
Remove the box.
Yeah. No box, no thinking either.
No. The nothingness. Which is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling really rich right now.
Yeah, abundant, right?
But my pockets are empty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because I spend like all my money on this damn course.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
Following that heart.
Right. And I spent a lot of money on courses and things that my heart knew better, but I spent the money anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
The really valuable stuff is free, believe it or not.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's why, you know, I was reflecting on this again yesterday as when Joe brought it up. He keeps bringing up my true choice I landed on, the one about I choose to live the desires of my heart.
Mm.
And I've been surprised over and over again what shows up. And I go, and then I look at it, at what shows up, and I go, wow, is that what my heart desired? I never knew that that was what my heart desired, but I'm really, really glad that showed up to
Yeah.
let me know.
Yeah, it's when you like, I think that's what we're doing. We're deconstructing our false self.
Yeah.
And our true self comes online.
Yeah.
And that's where your desire comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized that like 2-3 days ago, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, how can I find my desire? I'm like, I gotta remove all this garbage that I picked up. You know? Because the thing, like, the analogy I got, it's like, you know, your parents, your uncle, whatever, they say, Pascal, could you please pick up the garbage?
Yeah.
Could you please pick up the garbage? And then you're like, no, no, no. And eventually, like, you know, they're so nice about it. And like, oh, yeah, my back hurt. Like, could you pick up my garbage, please? And eventually, like, you pick it up. You pick it up. And they're like, they feel good, right? Because you picked it up.
Yeah.
But then you have it now.
Yeah.
You know? And like, what are you gonna do with the garbage? Are you just gonna ask someone else to pick up your garbage too? Or are you just gonna get rid of it? Right? And usually like we just like, no. Like
Gonna want to hold on to it and hoard it.
I had it for a while now. So you pick it up now. No, please. Can you pick my garbage? I'll even give you money for it. And we do that with therapists, right? I'll pay you some money if you pick up my garbage. You know, my friend she's a energy healer. And she keeps saying like, she's really an empath. And yeah, she says like, I don't know, man, like I gotta choose the right client because like a lot of them like they feel great and I feel like shit. And I'm like, why did you pick up their garbage? You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of the difference between care and compassion, right? Caring is like, oh, it's heavy. Compassion is just being at service, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, we might have to work at caring somewhat, but compassion is just a free flow from your heart. Eh?
well, you know, like when you're caring for, you know, say if I would be caring for my mom, right? That's heavy, right? Like, oh, I gotta care for her. Like,
yeah,
she can't wash herself, she can't do this, but instead just be there for her. I don't know. For me, like it's a lot lighter. It's kind of helping or fixing versus what's the other one? Shit. Helping, fixing. Oh, it's a better word. Damn.
It'll come to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I gotta start. I gotta keep driving again.
Yeah, right.
My mind is not occupied right now. So.
Yeah, jar loose that part of your
Yeah.
part of your mind.
Mm.
It's so funny.
It's funny, but like I learned lucid dream, right?
Yeah.
And one part of lucid dream is like say count backward from like say 597 in a count of 3, right? So you occupy your mind. Now, like now because it's occupied, it's like the other part comes online. You know, everything is kind of related, you know, it's just like, and eventually you just connect the dots and you're like, oh, that's what I was doing. Oh, okay.
Well, guys, I'm gonna head out to go hang out with the family this morning. They're all moving around.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
Thank you,
Well, thank you
Craig.
for this morning, guys.
Yeah,
Have a good weekend.
thank you. You do the same.
We'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have a
extra
good
big
time.
hug for you today, Pascal.
What's that?
Extra big hug for you today, Pascal.
Yeah, no.
That was really
feel it.
fun exploring
Yeah,
that with you.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. Like you know, like you guys are the person that I hang out the most.
Good.
That's crazy. And we never like even like see it in person.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
You know? But I trust you more than anybody else. It's crazy. You know? Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll catch up on Monday.
All right.
Will do.
Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Have
Bye.
a great mindless day.
Yeah. We'll do.
Okay. Big love,
Have no
everybody.
choice. Have no choice.
Thank you, Jesse.